Hi there and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about everything I read in August 2025. Today we're going to be going through the books in order from worst, or the ones I liked the least, to the best, or the ones I personally liked the best. Before we get into the books that I've read this August, I want to first give you a brief rundown of my rating system. 1 star means that I could not finish the book. 2 stars means that I struggled to finish, but I did. 3 stars means I enjoyed it, it was worth reading. 4 stars means I really liked it and I would recommend it to a friend. And 5 stars, which is my highest honor, means I would read the book again. For this month, we don't actually have any 2-star reads, but let's go ahead and get into the books that I read this August. Starting with 1-star books, one that was a particular disappointment to me this month was Every Step She Takes by Alison Cochrane. I really wanted to like this book. I went into it really excited for the travel aspect and to learn more about different parts of the world I've never been in, but from the very start of the book, I started to get the vibe that it might not be for me. I got this book as an ARC, and if you want to see my full review on it and why I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, you can check me out over on Goodreads, Storygraph, or Fable. But on here, I'm just gonna say that I ended up giving it 1 star because I just couldn't bring myself to finish the book, and I felt that it might have been better as more of like a literary fiction than a romance, just because I didn't feel the romantic chemistry between the characters. The next 1 star on this month's lineup of books is actually The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. I've been waiting to read this book for a really long time and I was excited for it. I feel like this is one of those nonfiction books that's recommended by everyone, and I just see it all the time when I'm in the bookstore. It'll often be the one that's kind of propped up. So when I finally got this book as an audiobook through Libby, I was really excited. But I started listening to it and there were a couple of things that threw me off about this. First, I just felt like a lot of the information in this book actually wasn't that revolutionary or interesting, and I brushed that aside thinking, well, maybe this was kind of the first book that brought these ideas to light. The more that I was reading, the more that I started to feel that I'd maybe been mismarketed by this book. It really focuses a lot on the survivors of war and soldiers with PTSD, and additionally there are moments in the book where it excuses kind of heinous acts that these people have performed, which I know that these situations can be incredibly complicated, but this book just left me with a really bad taste in my mouth. So if you have any suggestions for a book that might talk more about how trauma, and specifically trauma that civilians go through, can affect a person's body, I'd be very interested to hear those. But this one did get a 1 star from me because I couldn't finish it and I just felt like some of the ideas were a little too icky for me. Moving on to our 3-star books. So my first 3-star book in this category is The Happy Writer by Marissa Meyer. You may know her as the author of the, I think it's Cinder series. I have not read any of her other books, but I did pick this one up because my full-time job is as a ghostwriter and I've been applying to MFAs and interested in creative writing, so this one was right up my alley. The reason I gave this one 3 stars is because I thought the information was very well organized, concise, and interesting. A lot of it didn't feel super revolutionary to me, and if this is the first writing book that you pick up, I think you would find it incredibly helpful. But if, like me, you've read quite a few other writing books, this one may feel like 80% repeats and 20% new information, which was still a win in my book, but didn't get it quite up to 4 or 5 star territory. The next book in my 3-star category from this month is Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave. This one was kind of a surprising read for me. I ended up getting it as an ARC without really remember ever requesting it, and it was kind of interesting because I think this is either the 4th or 5th book in this series, so I'd kind of expected that I was gonna feel lost. To the book's credit, you can definitely jump in, I'm gonna guess, at any point in this series and have a pretty good grasp on what's going on. I thought it was cute, simple, definitely like the definition of a cozy mystery if that's something you're into. I enjoyed it for what it was, but again, this one was just more of like a 3-star read for me. Up next is a book that's a little bit out of its season. I read A Very Irish Christmas by Debbie Johnson, simply because I'm trying to catch up on my ARCs. So this one, like I said, not a good August read in terms of like seasonality, but I actually really did like this one. I thought it was cute and cozy. It's like a sweet, clean romance about an American girl who has her heart broken and ends up going to the UK for Christmas, but she's surrounded by a lot of Irish people and takes a little trip into Ireland. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a Christmas book with a little bit of a traveling twist. Up next in my 3-star books is Impractical Magic by Emily Grimoire. This is a book that I would say is a little bit more seasonally appropriate as we're starting to ease into autumn, and I would 100% recommend this one if you are looking for kind of a witchy book with fall vibes to get you into the spirit. Impractical Magic is about a witch who's been avoiding her hometown and magic as as a whole for quite a long time, but ends up coming home when there's something wrong with the magic in her hometown. In this book, we see her grappling with some of the demons from her past, and we also get a nice little romance between her and a boy who's always planning to stay in town. Okay, so we're now going to talk about my 4-star books, and 4-star books are ones that I really liked and I would recommend probably to like a close friend or someone who, if I know they like that specific genre. So the first book in the 4-star category is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. I have had this book on my TBR forever, and I finally got it as an audiobook from the library, so I had a day or two and I just listened to it. It tells the story of Jewish and Black Americans in a place called Chicken Hill in the 1930s. I would super recommend this one if you're interested in historical fiction at all, but I would also caution that it might be a good idea to look up some of the content warnings before you get into this one if you know you have any specific triggers. Up next for my 4-star books that I read in August, we have At Last by Marissa Silver. This is an arc, so I will be putting out a full review on it on September 2nd, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here, and if you want to know more about this book, you can go check out that full video. Basically, this one, it talks a lot about motherhood and womanhood and how those things intersect, and it's one of those stories that really just digs deep into a family and examines all the little nooks and crannies there. If you're the kind of person who likes to read about that, then this book might be for you. Up next, we have Witchy Wood by Leah Armador. The thing I liked the most about this book was just a super unique twist on the kind of witchy world. So if you're a fan of Cupcake Wars or other kind of cooking competition shows, you might really like this book because it takes that idea and then adds magic to it. So basically, our main characters are going on a show where they're competing to see who can build the biggest and coolest spells, basically. It's a romance between these two characters and kind of an enemies to lovers with like secret identity added in. So if any of those things sound interesting to you, I would definitely encourage you to check it out. My one caveat with this book would be don't go into it expecting like witchy autumnal vibes. It's very much not that. It's more like Hollywood influencer TV show type of vibes to me, but it is still very interesting, and I loved this take on like a witchy magical world. Up next in the 4-star reads is Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola. Sweet Heat is a second chance romance that will tug at your heartstrings and also make you want to pull out your hair just a little bit. Kiki and Kai are just obviously meant to be together, and they're both obviously still very into each other throughout pretty much this whole book, but Kiki goes through a lot of telling herself that Kai's not that interested in her or that it could never work. So I definitely really liked the chemistry between the characters and felt that the tension was very fraught. It was tense. You were feeling it. If I had one complaint for this book, it's that I just was not a huge fan of Amina's character. I found her to be so very annoying, and I felt like she was really taking advantage of Kiki and not being a very good friend and really relying on the fact that she was getting married to treat her friend and not very nicely. So that was my one thing that I just wasn't super into. But overall, I really did like this book, and if you're a fan of second chance romances, I would 100% recommend it. The next book in the 4-star section from August is A Killer Getaway by Sienna Sharp, and this is a book that introduces a very interesting take on a romance story. I have to say that I have never read another romance book quite like this one, and at first it actually took me several tries to get into this book just because I found the narrator to be so unlikable that it was just difficult for me to get sucked into it and to want to pick it up again. As far as like rooting for the main character goes, I'm not sure that this book ever really pulled that off, like ever really got me to the point where I was rooting for her, but I did find it to be satisfying overall, so I guess there's that. Killer Getaway by Sienna Sharp is the story of a woman who, because of her past trauma and past experiences with this wellness resort, returns there every summer to choose somebody to murder, and she has done this for several years. She's murdered multiple people by the start of our book. And when she gets there this year, when we're reading, she runs into this journalist who coincidentally is looking into these murders and kind of pulling apart the threads, showing that all of these separate accidents might not be as like accidental as people think they are. So we kind of get a really interesting blend of thriller and romance that at some points I was not fully on board with, because it just felt very, very weird to like read kind of intimate scenes of this like murderer being in bed with a journalist. But I actually ultimately think that the book managed to pull it off and managed to even give these characters their happily ever after, which I thought was commendable given the huge obstacles they had to overcome. And finally, the last category for August reads is 5-star reads. 5-star reads are usually pretty rare for me because it means that I would read the book again, and I just like reading so much and reading new books so much that I almost never reread things. So being willing to read the book again is it's just like my top category. It's the highest ranking for me. And so my 5-star books from August start first with We Could Be Rats by Emily Austen. This is the second book that I've read by her, and so far her books are 5 stars for me. I really, really liked Interesting Facts About Space, and I kind of was worried because I thought I couldn't come into a book that would top that one for me, but We Could Be Rats definitely did. So this one is about sisters. It's about a complex relationship between sisters and their shared trauma from their past, and just a lot of things that kind of allude to like our current political landscape and different ways that that could be affecting you. So if you're interested in anything like that, I would definitely recommend that you pick it up, because I mean, it made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me think. So I would definitely recommend it, and I would recommend Emily Austen's other books as well. And the last book on this list, the other 5-star from my August of 2025, was Definitely Better Now by Ava Robinson. This book was so interesting to me because it was another romance that I thought incorporated just kind of a unique twist or something that I've never seen before, but at least that I feel like you don't really see very often. I thought the main character from this had a lot of depth, and it was very interesting to see her navigating the world of romance and dating and trying to basically just like spend time with the guy she likes after becoming sober from being an alcoholic. At first, I was kind of worried because I thought sometimes when romance books try to pair really, really deep, dark things with like the light, fluffy part of romance, it can kind of be a turnoff for me. I usually just prefer my romance to be romance, and I'd prefer to read about those other themes in other areas because a lot of times I just don't feel like it really gets pulled off super well. But this book 100% pulled it off. This book managed to deliver on the kind of like butterfly feeling of the romance between our characters, along with like also being able to explore in depth our character's relationship with her father and her relationship with drinking and the way that her life is going to progress forward now that she's sober. I thought it was very interesting, very, very well written, and definitely worth a read if any of that sounds like you might enjoy reading that at all. All in all, I read 13 books in August, 2 of which were 1 stars, 4 of which were 3-star books, 5 of which got 4 stars for me, and just 2 that got 5 stars. My favorite genres are thrillers, romance, and like contemporary or literary fiction. So if you're interested in those genres and you want to see more full book reviews and other reading vlogs and things like that from me, then go ahead and subscribe. If you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video, please leave a comment below and let me know if you agreed or disagreed with my rating, or if you have any recommendations based on those books. Like if you read We Were Rats by Emily Henry and you know another book that's a lot like it or has a lot of the same themes or you feel has a similar level of writing, I would love to hear about it so that I can add it to my TBR. And as always, you can find me over on Goodreads, Storygraph, Fable, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks for watching.